הוא אדם שלימד אותי המון דברים חשובים בחיי. כמו כמה חשוב להקביל על זמנים, איך זה לחיות חיים נורמליים עם רגל שבורה, וכמובן איזה קבוצת כדורגל עובדת. עכשיו קבלו אותו במחיאות כפיים, את אבא שלי.
עתיד סופית. עתיד סופית. I want to begin this message to you by first of all thanking everyone for being here. Now for me, it really is very inspiring to see here tonight so many friends that I grew up with in England. Indeed, the fact that the overwhelming majority of people in this room here tonight are friends of mine that grew up in Chutz La'aretz and have now made their homes here in Israel. For me, this is incredibly moving. What's so special is that all of us who came here didn't come because life was so terrible back home where we lived. Whatever we may read in the news, I don't recall it ever being dangerous for a Jew in England. On the contrary, since we've moved to Israel, we've had quite a lot here. We've had the second Intifada, that wasn't fun. We've had a war in Lebanon, 3 wars in Gaza. Whatever we worry about people in Europe today, I don't think they've ever heard an air raid siren blaring in the air, never had to run to a bomb shelter, nor did they see missiles blowing up above their heads. In fact, I don't really recall a time where it's actually been safe for a Jew here in Israel. We also didn't come here because life was so much better here in terms of parnasa. On the contrary, all of us know that in the professions we all work in, we could probably be doing much better there. We also didn't come because we wanted to escape our families and be far away from them. Of course not. Yeah, some people do. Nevertheless, despite the difficulties, the tension, the distance, the change in language, culture and climate, so many of the people here in this room this evening still made that decision because it was the Jewish thing to do. And therefore seeing all of you here celebrating with us, dancing with us here tonight is really doubly inspiring for me, so thank you. Unfortunately, Stephen Holt is forbidding me to join you on the dance floor too much. But to be honest, between me and you, you're not missing that much. Additionally, Tzofit, it gives me great pleasure that you stood up and delivered your speech in Ivrit, the language of our forefathers. The fact that you were more comfortable with the Hebrew section of your speech than the English is also a source of pride. As Jews, Ivrit should be the natural language that flows through our blood. And I'm so proud that this is the case with you. Nevertheless, Tzofit, you have to improve your English reading. Another person I want to thank this evening is actually our caterer, I don't know if she's in the room at the moment, but when I told your mother, Tzofit, 12 years ago, and when I reminded her 7 years ago, and then when I reminded her last year that your bat mitzvah would be in a Shemitah year, there was a look of horror on her face. Baruch Hashem, that is not the case anymore. We feel privileged to be celebrating our 3rd Shemitah here in Israel, a mitzvah that is only applicable here in this country. The fact that your bat mitzvah is in it is just a bonus. We often see on bottles of wine and other echsherim the words Naki mitzevel truma olau shviet. I am delighted that as a family we no longer see Shemitah in that category. While it is for us asur to eat tevel and orla, that's not the case with Shemitah. Shemitah produce is a privilege and possibly even a mitzvah to eat foods that have Kedushat Shvi'it. Ideally, we wanted to have the whole Irua here tonight with food that were Kedushat Shvi'it. But Beverly explained to me that as a caterer it's extremely difficult. The lachats in the kitchen with the waiters bringing in food in and out and clearing things under a strict timetable make it very difficult to treat the Kedushat Shvi'it with the care that is needed. Therefore, she provided alternatives of kashit, mutak, foods that come from Gulot Alei Mitzrayim. And despite tremendous resistance from the Mashgiach, we were still able to provide one food item here this evening that was Kedushat Shvi'it, but I think the Mashgiach has made sure it's already gone from our tables. there's a chance to enjoy it. And Yitz Hashem Safit, you should be zocher not just to celebrate Shemitah here, but also Yovel, which will be another mitzvah. I also want to thank those who came here from abroad to be with us. First of all, my Aunt Yafa. It's still very hard to believe that Uncle Yosef isn't with us anymore. He was always such a strong person, so full of life. Nothing scaring, or nothing that could scare or faze him. And he loved the simcha. And Safit, he would have so enjoyed being here with you tonight. Sadly, that's not the case. But the memory of him still always brings us much joy. I also want to thank my Uncle Michael. Thank you for being here. Family is always very important to us all, and the effort that you always make to join us is always comforting and precious. Thank you, and we look forward to sharing many more smachot with you. Safit. My sisters, Ruti, Sarah, and Rachel, are incredible role models for you to learn what it is to be a Jewish woman. Auntie Ruti is constantly traveling backwards and forwards from New York to be with Savta, to look after her and give her strength. Auntie Sarah travels from Manchester to London every week to be with Savta and making sure she gets the best medical advice that she needs. And while Auntie Rachel is there every single day, making her appointments, talking to her, taking her wherever she needs to be taken, and ensuring that all her affairs run smoothly. As you know, Sarah and Rachel are with her right now and couldn't be with us. But we were very excited that Ruti and also her husband, my brother-in-law, Struli, are here with us, accompanying my father, Saba, so that he could be here. So thank you, both of you. I also have to mention my brother-in-law, Johnny Moyes. He gave me, I was meant to have it in my hand, but I left it at the table. But when you were born, Safit, he gave me a bottle of bourbon that we opened on your Simchas Bat. Now, some of you should be surprised at being such a heavy drinker myself. We still have some of it left over. Here it is. So, Sophie actually hasn't allowed me to have a drop of this for the last 2 years because she wanted to ensure that we finish it tonight. So, Jolly will be having this l'chaim with you sometime later this evening. Also not here, Safit, is your Uncle Dan. I know it's very hard for you to remember him, but you should know that he loved you tremendously. He so would have wanted to be here tonight, and we've been so proud of you, seeing you speaking with such confidence and maturity. We miss him terribly, but are confident in you that you are growing up and becoming a wonderful young lady at your bar mitzvah here tonight. Safit, you also have incredible grandparents that are fantastic role models for you. In Grandpa, you have a man who's risen to the heights of his profession, whose knowledge and understanding is sought after. In the Lord's, he spent a large part of his time defending Israel and creating a network of contacts to ensure that any parliamentary attempts to censure Israel are swiftly countered. In Grandma, you have a woman whose advice, understanding and thoughtfulness led her to be sought after and often the final word in the counseling profession. In Saba, you have someone who has come out of the ashes with his humanity, his decency, and his emunah in Hashem intact. He acts in inspiration to many of us, as well as to us, but to many others. And finally, in Savta, you have a strong and brave woman who isn't frightened of the odds and stands up in the face of all adversity to overcome them. Each and every one of your grandparents have been successful in all their different areas of their lives, yet all have remained modest, humble, and admired by all their friends, colleagues, and people in their community. They are tremendous role models for you to fit. However, if we are to consider all the role models that you have in your life, you have an incredible role model of what it means to be a Jewish woman, and that is with your own mother. Your mother, Tafi, is the pillar of strength and wisdom and understanding in our family. She didn't carry you just for 9 months in her womb, but she's been continuing to carry you ever since. She's the greatest teacher of compassion, love, and friendship. She always puts other people's needs and all her children's needs ahead of everyone ahead of her own, and you're always there to help guide, lead, and even push to ensure that you have what you need to succeed. She's the most selfless person I know, and the person I admire most in life. She is a true daughter of our Moshe, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, and a perfect role model for you. And so, Tzofit, you yourself are now a young woman. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given you tremendous capabilities and talents, of which you and your mother are very proud. You are always so determined. The amount you practice your gymnastic moves until you get them all right is incredible. You are responsible, with so many people wanting you as their babysitter, knowing that their children will be looked after with you. And young children love you because you always show care and attention, and adults also love you because you're always smiling and charming. And so it comes to me to thank the Kadosh Baruch Hu for all the bracha He has given us in our lives. May He continue to look after you, Tzofit, and care for you in the path of life that you choose. Yevrechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Hashem panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yasei lecha shalom. May you all enjoy the rest of the evening.